This morning, the committee continues our extensive oversight of the Obama administration's nuclear agreement with Iran and its consequences for the national security of the United States, the consequences also for our allies. As many know here, I feel those consequences are quite dire. January 16th was Implementation Day, and that marked an historic turning point in the Middle East because in a snap, Iran's record was cleared, its pariah status was dropped, and this reconnected Iran to the international trade and financial system. Now, with access to $100 billion in unfrozen assets and sanctions wiped away, Iran has instantly become the dominant country in the region. The regime has achieved this all without having to end its aggression against its neighbors. It still calls for the overthrow of the governments in Bahrain and in Saudi Arabia and other regional states. It's done it without swearing off on its support for terrorism. And the Iranian economy was, frankly, prior to this, hemorrhaging. Hemorrhaging because the sanctions which we had pushed had worked. The sanctions we pushed in 2010 and 2012 had led by 2013 to the implosion of the economy there. Now Iran's leaders are predicting swift growth. And they're probably right, because we see these European countries that have observed that the sanctions dam is broken, and they are sprinting into the Iranian market to cut billions in deals and to invest there, and they're making a mockery of the administration's claim that sanctions could snap back if Iran cheats. You tell me if these companies are going to turn back when Iran stiffs international inspectors. The Revolutionary Guards, already Iran's most powerful economic actor. Now, those are the words of our Treasury Department. The most powerful economic actor. Why would that be the Iranian Guards? Because they're the ones that nationalized the construction firms and the companies. So they're only going to grow more powerful with this additional international investment. Just hours after the agreement's implementation, the regime disqualified 2,967 of roughly 3,000 moderate candidates from running in the parliamentary elections later this month. And after the administration finally responded to Iran's missile tests with very minor sanctions, very de minimis sanctions, Iran's moderate president, as he's called, ordered the military to accelerate its intercontinental ballistic missile program. That's aimed here at the United States, and it's designed to carry a nuclear payload, that ICBM program that they're running, where the Ayatollah says it's every military man's mission to help mass produce, and duty to help mass produce ICBMs. Now, worse, the administration continues to go out of its way to appease the Iranian regime, and even thanked Iran after it recently seized 10 U.S. sailors in a highly provocative act, if you ask me. I mean, when was the last time we've seen U.S. sailors taken off their ships with their hands behind their heads, guns trained on them, their ships stripped, photographs for propaganda purposes taken, photographs of one of these sailors crying appearing in the Iranian press, and then medals given to those Iranian agents who took them into custody. It appears the administration is determined to protect this deal at all costs. And just look at how the Obama administration backed away from a new bipartisan U.S. law ending visa waiver travel for those who've traveled to Iran, Iraq, Syria, after an outcry from the Iranian regime. And the administration has now decided to basically ignore the law and Iran's ongoing sponsorship of terrorism by stretching a narrow national security waiver far beyond reason. President Obama signed this bill into law, but has essentially allowed Iran's supreme leader to veto it. And in an unusual move, the State Department settled a decades-old financial settlement the day after implementation day, sending the Iranian regime a check for $1.7 billion. As you know, Mr. Ambassador, the committee eagerly awaits answers from the State Department to the many questions surrounding that surprise payment. The administration had countless opportunities to seek committee input to this matter in advance, but purposefully did not do so. That's the conclusion I have to reach. Iran has never complied with any of its past nuclear-related agreements. We're watching this to see if this time it will be different. But even if Iran meets all the administration's expectations, in a few short years the accord will leave it the dominant power in the Middle East and only steps away from the capability to produce nuclear weapons on an industrial scale. All the while, and this is the most vexing part to me, all the while Iran's leaders continue on Friday to chant death to America. And many of us are struggling to see how this tilt toward Iran makes us safer. I now recognize the ranking member for any opening comments he may have.